Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to HR.com's PHR and SPHR prep course demonstration. My name is Brandon, and I am the program administrator for all of the PHR and SPHR services that we offer here at HR.com. And I'm sitting with our leading program instructor, Jen. And between the two of us, we're going to go over some of the background information that you'd want to know if you're thinking about getting your PHR or your SPHR certification. And then, of course, we'll also be talking about just some of the services that HR.com offers, which can help you prepare for one of these exams. Okay, so to start off, I'm just going to walk you through our agenda to give you a feel for what we're going to be discussing today. So first off, we'll be talking about just briefly HR.com as well as the IHR. So that's the Institute for Human Resources, which is just simply the division of HR.com which manages and delivers our certification services. After that, we'll be talking about the HRCI. So that's the HR Certification Institute. So that is the actual accrediting body for the PHR and SPHR certification. We'll be talking about some of the certifications that the HRCI offers, and more specifically, the eligibility requirements that one must meet in order to actually take one of these exams. We'll also go through what the exams are comprised of in terms of, I guess, the sections or the bodies of knowledge, as they're referred to. We'll also discuss the benefits that certification can have for you. And lastly, we'll discuss just some of the, I guess, the extra details that you'd want to know if you're thinking about getting certified. So things like costs that you would incur, so exam fees, deadlines and dates, places that you can go for more information, things like that. So to start off, HR.com, we were and still are a social network platform for the HR profession. So you can kind of think of us as like a LinkedIn, but specifically for HR. And although I guess the platform or foundation of our site is social networking, we do have a strong hand in online training, and specifically training for PHR and SPHR certification exams. So that branch, if you will, of HR.com is called the Institute for Human Resources. And I'll actually go to the next slide here. So basically, this is just like a division of HR.com which manages all of our certification services. So one of those services, or one group rather, would be our courses and materials that can prepare you for your certification exam, either the PHR or the SPHR. And then we also offer recertification credits. So to be brief, for those who already hold a certification, you have to earn so many credits every couple of years. And there's a few ways that you can get those credits. One of those ways is by watching webcasts or webinars, if you will, online. Okay, and that's what we do. So we have a significantly sized archive of webcasts and webinars. And more specifically, these webinars yield HRCI credits. So you can watch these webinars and get credits to keep your certification in good standing. Okay, now to shed some light on the HRCI, this is again the HR Certification Institute, and they are the accrediting body for the PHR and the SPHR. So when you go to take your PHR or SPHR exam, the organization that is providing you with that exam and is ultimately going to determine whether or not you passed that exam and earned a certification, that's the HRCI. Okay, so it's not HR.com, and it's also not SHRM. So very often HRCI, or at least in the past anyways, HRCI and SHRM have been confused for one another. So SHRM in the past was a major producer of study materials for the PHR and SPHR, so this was called the SHRM learning system. So very often, if someone used that set of books to prepare for one of these exams, it would often come up in conversation. For example, they'd say, oh, I got my PHR through SHRM, when in fact, they might have used the SHRM learning system to prepare for the exam, but it's actually the HRCI that is providing them with that certification. Okay, so they have other certifications as well, the PHR, the SPHR, the GPHR, HRMP, HRBP, I'll get into that in just a second. But really, between the PHR and the SPHR, there's over 135,000 HR professionals who hold one or both of these certifications. So the PHR and the SPHR really do make up the majority of the certificates out there. And I guess what I should mention as well is, while we're on the subject of SHRM, it might be a little bit confusing now that SHRM is offering their own certification. So I guess just to be clear and to shed some light on that, SHRM and specifically their certification is not replacing the PHR or the SPHR. Okay, the two will in fact be competing with one another for an undetermined amount of time. So just again to be clear, one certification is not replacing the other. SHRM has introduced their own certification, and the HRCI still has their own certifications as well. Okay. Now on that note, here's just some of the certifications that the HRCI offers. Okay, so the first two are the ones that we're going to be discussing today. So that's the PHR. That's the most common and an entry-level certification, if you will, that they offer. And then beyond that, we have the Senior Professional in Human Resources. So I guess a similar certification, but also different in its own way, and we're going to discuss those differences. And then they also have what I will call international certifications. So we have the HRMP and we have the HRBP. So these are, simply put, the international equivalents to the PHR and the SPHR. So when you take a PHR or SPHR exam, there will be a significant portion of those questions that are specific to U.S. Policy and practice. Okay, so for someone who wants a certification outside of the U.S., it wouldn't be fair or make sense really to have questions that are specific to policy within the U.S. So simply put, the HRBP and HRMP exams are very similar exams, except they have the U.S. content sort of stripped out, and it would be replaced with questions and content more specific to the area in which you are taking that exam. Okay, so now we're going to get into the more specific details of the PHR and SPHR, and I'm going to pass it off to our leading program instructor, Jen, to fill you in on those details.
Thanks, Brandon. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us today. As Brandon mentioned, my name is Jen, and I've had the privilege of being part of leading our classmates to great success over the last couple of years, so I'm really, really thrilled to certainly be involved in this. Now, like you, I am an HR practitioner, and like you, I've been through the motions of testing. Now, with that said, though, I want to educate everybody a little bit more about the exams that perhaps you are sitting for or contemplating sitting for. So let's go first and foremost, and we'll talk about the PHR, that being the Professional in Human Resources exam. This exam focuses on the technical and operational aspects of human resource practices, laws, and regulations. Now, this exam is broken up into 6 bodies of knowledge. These 6 bodies of knowledge are prescribed by HRCI, so they're consistent across the board. The PHR exam is made up of business management and strategy, coming in at 11% of the exam. The largest weight of this exam is workforce planning and employment, and that consumes 24%. 18% of the exam is devoted to human resource development. 19% of the exam will concentrate on compensation and benefits. The next greatest weight on this exam, at 20%, is focused on employee and labor relations. And then lastly, a small little sliver is risk management, coming in at 8% of the exam. Now, there's a lot of considerations, no doubt, in choosing this exam as opposed to perhaps another exam, such as the SPHR. So in considering this exam, you want to consider if you can identify with any of the following. So, do you focus on program implementation? Are you tactical and logistical in your thought processes and actions? One who is sitting for their PHR exam would also be accountable to another HR professional within the company and would have some 2 to 4 years of exempt level HR experience across all functional areas, which i.e. are disciplines, but yet you don't quite have that rather senior level experience. You don't have the accountability, if I may. So very ideal for one who's entering into the field and or holding a little bit more of a coordinator, administrative, or even generalist position, because you've not yet had the progressive, increasingly complicated experience under your belt. Now, your responsibilities in the HR department would focus more so on just that, the HR department, rather than the organization at a little bit more of a mass or macro perspective. HRCI goes on to further tell us that in order to be able to sit, i.e. take this exam, you need to meet one of these following 3 eligibility requirements. Now before I walk through each of these eligibility requirements, I just want to just first add a little comment if I may. These eligibility requirements come to us from HRCI and certainly are available at their website, which is hrci.org. So we're just merely relaying the information. Now, Brandon and I will certainly take a look at any questions that are waiting for us at the tail end of this session. And if you have any questions with regards to eligibility, we're more than happy to do our best to answer that question to the best of our ability. But other than being very knowledgeable with HRCI's regulations, policies, what have you, we're not HRCI representatives, so worst case scenario, we may just direct you perhaps to go directly to the source if your scenario is a little bit unique, and this way you can get educated from directly whom will be making those eligibility calls. So with that said, in order to be eligible to sit for your PHR, you need to have 1 year of professional HR experience if holding a master's degree. If you have a bachelor's degree, you will need 2 years of professional HR experience. And if you have less than a bachelor's degree, then you'll be required to demonstrate that you have 4 years of HR experience. Now, once again, all this information is available at HRCI, and if you have any questions, we'll do our best most certainly to address them. So that's the PHR in a nutshell. Let's now take a look at the next exam, this being the SPHR, the Senior Professional in Human Resources exam. This exam focuses on a higher end of professional design and planning. Now this exam is more strategic in nature, and to that extent this exam as well is a little bit more for somebody in a managerial capacity or perhaps greater. And you will see in moments that the eligibility requirements reflect that. This exam as well has the same 6 bodies of knowledge. However, they are slightly broken up differently. 30% of the SPHR exam will be devoted to business management and strategy. And it's a huge chunk, which is no surprise since that body of knowledge has the word strategy in it. Because one who is in a senior level capacity and caliber is a little bit more strategic, if I may, in their practices. 17% of the exam will focus on workforce planning and employment. The second greatest weight, coming in at 19%, concentrates in the area of human resource development. 13% of the SPHR exam will focus on compensation and benefits. 14% will be devoted to employee and labor relations. And once again, a small little sliver at 7% concentrates on risk management. So again, if this is the exam for you, you want to consider some of the following. Do you, in your capacity, design and plan rather than implement HR policies? Because you focus on the big picture. Because you are of a senior level position, you will have ultimate accountability in the HR department. Having some 6 to 8 years of progressive and increasingly complicated HR experience under your belt. Because you have the breadth and depth of knowledge across all HR functions. Are you one that uses your judgment that has been gained with time and knowledge? And certainly, all of your actions revolve around understanding the business as a strategic business partner far above and beyond just the HR functions, because really understanding that everything you do impacts the entire organization. So if you can identify with any of those, and this has tickled you in this direction, then please note as well, once again on the screen, take a look at the eligibility requirements to sit for the SPHR. So you would need 4 years of professional HR experience if holding a master's degree, or you would need 5 years of experience if holding a bachelor's degree, or you would need 7 years of HR experience if holding less than a bachelor's degree. Now you may be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot. And you know what, you're not mistaken. But here are the benefits. So why do you want to get certified? Where's that WIFM? Certainly in getting certified, you will become a recognized master in the space. This will enhance your core competencies within the profession. You will certainly gain internal and external market advantage, and allow me to add, worldwide. This will certainly add value to your own personal marketability, giving you the opportunity to network with field experts and leaders alike. Of course, the benefits are reciprocal, and this will add value to the organization. And getting certified increases your professional worth, and it has been known to have potential for greater earnings. Let's just eliminate a little bit of the questions that might be hovering over your head and thinking, okay, so what is that exam actually like? So let's just do a side-by-side comparison of the PHR and the SPHR exam. Both exams are made up of 175 multiple choice questions. Questions with 4 possible answers, A through D. Both exams, as we walked through, looking at the pie charts, have 6 functional areas. Granted, the weights will differ from one exam to the next, but they're the same functional areas. Both exams as well are 3-hour computer-based exams that are held at designated testing centers. But now here's where the differences kick in. The PHR, in its caliber, in its magnitude, is a little bit more application and problem solving in nature, whereas the SPHR is more strategic upper level management in nature. Hence again, the S standing for senior. Now both exams, the actual breadth of the questions are broken up into 3 different cognitive classifications, as you see at the bottom row. 25% and 15% of the questions, PHR, SPHR respective, will be knowledge and comprehension questions, regardless of which functional area it covers. Half of the questions on both of the exams will challenge your ability to apply and problem solve. And then 25 and 35% of the questions of PHR, SPHR respectively will challenge your ability to synthesize and evaluate, which is really a matter of bringing together distant related items. I want to talk to you in a little bit more detail about really what we have in store for you and what information we want to relate to you, about how we can get you ready. So we're thrilled to be offering this coming spring, starting as early as May, and we'll talk through those dates in just a matter of moments, a 4-day intensive refresher course. So across 2 consecutive weekends, you can enroll in a refresher course that will include 20 hours of live online classes in a small interactive setting with your instructor. That's me. You will as well receive curriculum, or sorry, we will be relying, I should say, on curriculum that is aligned with the HRCI functional areas. Now we rely on the HRCP system as our model. However, all of those who enroll will be expected to already have had a learning system in hand. So as I like to call it, BYOB, bring your own books. We certainly will supply you with some sample test questions to make sure that we get the gears greased and the wheels are in motion, certainly to prepare you. We'll do some random flashcard reviews. Of course, your instructor will provide you coaching and mentoring all along. And you'll also be given live study tips and testing recommendations. And all of this as well comes along with a free HR.com profile. So let's just take a look, a little bit more of an agenda, and I'll allow you to eyeball this, but really what you can expect out of these 4 intensive days. So the first offering that we have is going to start in just 1 short month, starting on Saturday, May the 2nd. That will take place 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then it will be repeated again, or continue, I should say, rather, the next day, so Sunday, May the 3rd. And then we duplicate this same pattern the next weekend, so that will be May 9th and 10th. So it's 2 consecutive weekends, 4 intensive days. Now there are breaks in between the 6-hour, so it comes to accumulation of 5 hours each day at 4 days. And again, please take a look, as per the screen in front of you, of the agenda, how we address these 6 bodies of knowledge across the 4 days. This again will be repeated the weekend of June 6th and 7th, and then again June 13th and 14th. Space is limited, registration is open, so I highly recommend you make your way over to hr.com/prep course to take a look at some more information as well as to go ahead and register. I'm now going to pass this over to Brandon, who's going to walk you through a little bit more about registration and some more information to help you.
Okay, thanks, Jen. So just as we close out here, we're going to talk to some of the details about actually going to book your exam and where you can find some more information. So I guess the first thing I should mention is that when you actually book your exam, that's done through the HRCI. So many of you may already be affiliate members with SHRM or even a member of HR.com. But again, just to be clear, all of the exam booking and eligibility check and that sort of process, that's the HRCI. So the starting point for that would be on the HRCI website, which is hrci.org. Of course, the first thing that you'd have to do is go through the eligibility check. And as Jen mentioned, I guess she walked you through all of the, the basic outline in terms of eligibility. But each person is their own case and their own scenario. So when you do go to have your eligibility check, there will be a more formal process. And then there are exam fees. Okay, so when you go to take your PHR or your SPHR exam, there is a fee associated with that. So for your PHR, it's $400 just to take the exam, and for the SPHR, it's $525. Now, in terms of booking your exam, I guess in terms of the dates, we're actually into the late application window. So the initial testing window is already passed. So now that you go to book your exam in this late window, the fee actually might be a little bit more, or there would be an additional fee or something to that effect. Okay, so just be aware of that. And, oh, too far. I should also mention April 17th is the last day that you can actually book your exam. So if you are thinking about getting your PHR or your SPHR exam in this upcoming window, which runs from May 1st to July 31st, definitely take note of April 17th as an important date. Now for some additional resources, you can go to, first off here we have HR.com/prep course. So this is our main course page for all the services that we offer. So if you're looking for information about our refresher courses or just some general information about certifications, you can go there. Below that is the name of our LinkedIn group, where we post updates about some of our services centric to PHR and SPHR certification, as well as some of the updates that our current students are posting on there. Below that is the HRCP website. So as Jen mentioned, this is the company that we work with to provide the courses that we do. They're the producer of our course materials. So if you'd like to have a more detailed look at the study guides that we use, you can go to the HRCP website. And then lastly is the HRCI website. So a very important website because when you go to have your eligibility checked and book your exam and really just gather general information about the certifications, that's where you would go for that. So the last thing that we're going to do here is just answer any questions that you may have. So if you do have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the question box, which is located on your control panel. And again, if you have questions about eligibility and really specific questions about your own, I guess, situation, you are best to go directly to the HRCI. So really, the extent of our knowledge, if you will, in terms of eligibility is what we've covered during this presentation. Really all we know is what we can gather from the HRCI website. So there is people at HRCI you can speak to. They have contact information on their website. So again, if you have specific information about your own eligibility, we do recommend that you contact the HRCI directly. Also, if anyone would like a copy of the slide deck from the demo today, you can email certification@hr.com, which you can see on your slide here. That's my email address, and I'd be happy to pass this slide deck over to you. And we are answering some questions here in the question box on your control panel. But if you did have questions at a later time, you just don't have one right now, feel free to write down my email address, which is certification@hr.com, and we can answer your questions that way as well. We also have a live chat service on hr.com, so you can use that to submit your inquiries as well.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the dead air. I have a really great question coming in, and rather than typing it, I thought that everybody would reap benefit from me saying it out loud. So we have a question coming in saying, well, how many questions can be missed on the exam? That's a very difficult question to answer, so I'll just think this one out loud, and I hope in doing so I'll answer the thoughts. The exam is made up of a total of 700 points. So there's 175 questions. However, only 150 of those questions will actually be scored. Now, we have no way, I should say, to know which questions are not scored and which questions are scored, because 25 are reserved for HRCI to evaluate and observe and, do a little bit of experimentation. So with that said, there's a total of 150 questions that will cumulatively score up to a total of 700 points. So that math doesn't really add up. Now, we don't know which question may be worth 2 points, 3 points, 7 points. We have no idea. Nobody will tell us. We can't crack that, caramel bar code. So with that said, you do need to earn 500 out of 700 points to be considered a pass on the exam. So minimum 500 points. So it's not really per se a matter of you need to get, let's say, 130 out of 150 questions, because each question is scored differently, but yet we don't know that equation. But again, you just need to earn 500 out of 700 points. Now, when you actually sit for your exam, the computer-based exam, you will receive immediate computerized results. Those preliminary results will just tell you pass or not pass. Then you need to wait. It's approximately about 2 weeks, I believe. You will be informed exactly how many points you earned and really where it was broken down across those 6 bodies of knowledge. So I hope that was helpful. But again, I guess it wasn't too direct, but that's all the information we have anyhow.
Okay, and that actually appears to be all the questions that we have here waiting for us. So as mentioned, if you do have questions at a later time, feel free to write down and contact me at certification@hr.com. And again, you can also use the live chat service directly on the HR.com website. So we do hope that this was beneficial for you in understanding the certifications, being the PHR and SPHR, a little bit more, as well as some of the services that HR.com offers, which can help you prepare for one of these exams. So on behalf of Jen and I, we thank you for attending, and we hope that you have a great day. Thanks.